One. What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I am Harrison Sanford. You guys already know the vibes and you know the drill. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review. All the good things are much appreciated so we can keep on doing what we're doing for you during this NBA off season. If you're watching us on YouTube, just know that you can watch us or you can listen to us on your podcast app, particularly the Audacy app. And if you're listening to us using particularly the Audacy app, just know that you can watch us on YouTube. With that being said, before we start to talk about the National Basketball Association and the awards that have been predicted by some of the most, have been predicted by some NBA experts. I started the show breaking my bracelet. As you can see here on YouTube, is some of the beads are now in my hand. Apparently, Danny, there's a price to pay when you buy cheap jewelry,
and when you buy expensive jewelry as well, because you can lose that, break that costs way more. So watching Tyrese's interview today, it might be smarter to buy cheap jewelry. You know?
Yes, indeed. Oh well, before again,
Tyrese Gibson, by the way.
Yeah, we'll talk about basketball in a moment. But before we do that, now that we're on the topic. I don't mean to be all in your pockets, Danny, but at times in your career, your salary has been public information. So I feel like it's somewhat fair game to talk about your money a little bit.
For sure.
What's the most money you spent on a piece of jewelry?
Ooh, engagement ring, hands down.
Yeah. Sounds about right. It sounds about right.
It's definitely six figures. It's definitely six figures. So yeah. Engagement ring.
Okay.
Yeah. Hands down, not even close.
Fair enough.
I don't think anything else even comes close to it. I obviously bought watches. So watches, I'm a watch guy. And some of my watches are six figures, yes. But the engagement ring is well over. Not even said it's well over.
I understand the engagement ring. Like you gotta do it. You gotta do it if you got it.
You gotta do it.
Well, okay. Real quick. I mean, again, we'll talk about basketball in a moment.
Yeah.
I personally still don't understand the fascination and price tag with a watch. Now, I was with you that one time when you bought that watch when we were in Vegas, and I understood the craftsmanship behind making the watch, and I was truly started to appreciate the craftsmanship, and I was like, oh. Okay, this is I respect to the people who put this watch together. However, the price point is still now. Granted, I squirm at the price point because I don't got money like that. But still, I feel like I'm still trying to understand the investment, that type of investment in watches. Like I saw Fanatics Fest this past weekend. Jay-Z brought out some like first of a kind Bugatti watch or something like that. It was all the rage upon the watch community. I'm still help me and help others understand the price tag and the fascination around watches.
It's just like how I guess the best way to look at it is like it's like real estate, but for watches, it all obviously depends on the brand, the timing, how rare it is. Not every brand holds value. Not every brand goes up in value. Not every brand is worth the money. The ones that Jay-Z is doing, these are, and it's also what you value. I mean, I was not a big I didn't value materials that much or jewelry that much when I was younger. My dad did nice things, materialistic things. He liked to look nice. So I always inherited that from him. I like to look nice and look clean. So I didn't mind, enjoying my fruits to a certain extent, but I didn't need a bunch of flashy things. But when it comes to watches, I look at it as real estate, but I also value time. I think that's the most important thing in our lives. So I value the time, I value the piece and things that don't depreciate. Cars, I think they depreciate as soon as you drive with a lot. But watches, those are things that can hold, and that they usually do hold value if you get them the right way. I do plain Janes. I don't do bust down watches with a bunch of unless it's factory made. But yeah, the ones that people get bust down watches with diamonds in them, that kind of devalues the watch for me. But yeah, the watches ultimately hold their value. And so a lot of them can gain value over time, depending on how rare it is, when did you get it, what kind of stamps they have on them. But ultimately, it's like real estate. It's like buying a bunch of different houses. And also, it's a powerful piece. It's a conversation starter, and it lets people know who you are in a room. And a lot of times, it's a statement. It's just like fashion is a form of expression. Tattoos are a form of expression. Let you know what you like to enjoy, who you are, and kind of talking your shit without talking your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's allowing you can flex in different rooms with that, or start a conversation, or catch somebody's attention or somebody's eye if you know value. And it doesn't have to be like the most expensive piece. It can be a rare piece. And if somebody's in that space, they know exactly, where your mind is, who you are, and what you can value. You can get on the same wavelength with somebody when you have that type of conversation starter, or that powerful type of thing when you walk into a room.
Mm-hmm. So last one. So you're telling me that when XYZ person gets a watch and they bust down the watch, quote unquote, which means they put more diamonds in it, they flood it with diamonds. You're telling me that actually depreciates the value of the watch?
Yeah, it's not a plain Jane, especially because the ones that you're talking about.
In your eyes, or like actually monetarily? Like, if that person said, "Yeah, I'm gonna take this to XYZ watch exchange convention, whatever." The person who inherited it, we're gonna say, like, yeah, actually, if you spent $200,000 on this watch, now it's actually worth $175,000 because you busted it down.
Ultimately, in both my eyes and in the value of it, because the diamonds that they're putting in aren't real diamonds. Now, if you put real diamonds in it, that's different. That will cost more than $200,000. Like, real diamonds, that's a $600,000. Like, it's a really high value. And even then, it's like the only person that you can attract for that or sell it to is somebody that wants that same. But if somebody is looking for that value, like, you change the watch. It's not its original piece anymore. So to a lot of watch collectors, that's not a valuable piece.
And with watch collectors, they're not trying to get a bust down piece.
Exactly. It depends on, you said it depends. It's supply and demand. It depends on, who your customers are, who your clients are, the people around you, who wants what and who needs what and who's looking for it. Now, I said, if you're looking for other people that like that and want that, then you can have a few, but I don't think you'll have as many customers or people valuing that or looking to buy that type of watch. They want the original plain Jane, or if it's factory, which some brands build those now, like Patek, Rolex, they will have they make watches in their factories with diamonds in them. They may have a lot of diamonds in them, so it's factory made, which means it's the original piece that Rolex made. Now, if you take a Rolex, change it, it's not a Rolex original piece. It's a Rolex with changes made to it by somebody else outside of Rolex. So yeah, but there was a couple other examples that I have for you. But yeah, so yeah, it's a different type of run. It said to me, and when you look at, that's the other point that I had to make. These things can open up so many like something small as having a nice watch on can open up so many doors and opportunities for you that a lot of people understand. When you look at these documentaries of these people that scam people, what's the first thing that they do? They paint themselves an image, and now they get in the doors and they're comfortable with people that they shouldn't be comfortable because they had on a Gucci outfit, because he has a Rolex. So some people like, if I want to be in this part, I got to play the part. Or if I want to be in these conversations, this is my brand. If I want to be having these conversations with so-and-so, I better make sure I look like I should be I got to look like I should be having these conversations with so-and-so. I can't come in wearing flip-flops and, having a G-Shock. I got to make sure I look like a businessman. And the best way to look like it said, play the part, you got to look the part. So these people that, not only saying that scam people, but even people that are looking for business opportunities and job opportunities will be taken seriously in their fields. These things make people look at you and say, all right, this guy has some value, some substance. He knows what he's doing. It looks like he knows how to carry himself professionally.
I actually think about that. I think Drake long time ago said, like, when he first started his career, he was like wearing a lot of stuff that he really couldn't afford. But again, he was trying to play the role, and look where he is now. So
look the part, the rapper part.
Yeah, gotta look the part. Totally understand that. All right, let's talk about sports now. Now that we're here. With that being said, before we even talk about basketball, I just want to say, summer's over for me. I just want to get to football. I'm happy the WNBA is back. The Olympics held us down for a little bit, but everybody's so excited for summer, and summer is great, yes, but at the same time, I love sports and I want sports back. So happy that NFL is going to be back very soon. College football starts this weekend. And the NBA is going to start very soon, sooner rather than later. Training camp, Training camp's probably starting like a month, Danny, right? I would assume.
In October, so you got a month and a half, maybe a little, about a month and a half. Yeah,
month and a half.
So, but most teams after Labor Day, teams will have their groups in and doing mini camps and like workouts in September, but October is official when training camp is starting.
When it gets real. Okay, with that being said, as we look ahead to the next NBA season, ESPN did a poll with a number of their experts, and they predicted some of the award winners for this upcoming NBA season. What we're going to do here today, Danny is going to predict who they predicted to win the award, and then Danny and I will give our award winners, and then we'll discuss on what we think about that. So we'll start with most valuable player, Danny. Who do you think the ESPN experts predicted to win MVP? This is not your pick now. It's who you thought they picked.
Well, Jokic got 3 of them now. I think he'll still be in the running, but I think most GMs are looking at Luka right now or Shea, who got snubbed. So I think those 2, but I'm gonna go with Luka. I think most people probably would pick if I had to guess.
That is correct. That's who they picked. Luka Doncic, he got 48% of the number 1 votes. Nikola Jokic got 10%. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 24%. Now,
look at that.
I'll let you give your pick here in a minute. I'll say this. The thing about Luka is it's so hard to vote against him because of his usage rate. Last year, he led the NBA in usage rate. If you look at how he played last year in the playoffs, he led the NBA in usage rate. He led the NBA points, rebounds, assists. He does so much for the Dallas Mavericks. However, the reason why I don't predict he's going to win MVP, even though it's going to be hard to argue against him,
the win shares,
stats, I also think about his win share total is going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. Just like Jokic is going to be nuts because Jokic's usage rate is off the charts.
I'm saying as a team, the team win shares. I don't think they'll be a top 3 team in the West, so it'll be tough.
Exactly. I don't think they're going to be a top 3 team in the West. I'm worried about them defensively, particularly if they decide to start Klay Thompson in that starting lineup. So for me, I'm going to go. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win it. He's going to have a high usage rate still, and because of their youth. And I am predicting relatively good health and their ability to play on both sides of the ball. They're going to be a better team now with Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. They're probably more complete than they were last year. And last year, they're the number 1 seed. If they finish as they finish as a top 3 seed, I don't see how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't win it. And of course, last year he was he was knocking on the door. This is the year they let him in. I think Shai wins it. What about you?
That was my pick. I had OKC because I see them being a top 3 winning again. They're gonna have health and said they've gotten better. The other 2 people that I thought would be in the realm that would be newbies, because I think Luka obviously gonna be talking Jokic, but I think Denver will still be top 3, top 4 team. I don't think Dallas will be. I think Dallas will be top 6, but not top 4. But I'm gonna Ant-Man. I think will be talked about this year if Minnesota's in the top 3. He got
5% of the vote. Got 5% of the vote.
So I think his percentage will be higher. He'll be in a finalist, I think. And I'll speak on this later because this is the team that I have that is going to be my not most improved team, but the team turnaround team. So there's a player on that team. I think you know exactly who I'm talking about.
I think I know where you're going. Mm-hmm. I think I know where you're going on that one. There's a couple of interesting ones here. Giannis received 5% of the vote. Obviously, the Bucks have very much going under the radar this offseason.
Tatum too. I think Tatum.
He can have
Jason Tatum's gonna have revenge year. Revenge year for Jason Tatum.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't want to say it's a revenge year, but the Olympics makes him have a little chip on his shoulder. So yeah.
But that's the thing though, and that was Jason Tatum's problem last year. He can come into the season as motivated as he wants to. He could come into the season with a whole nother skill that he added. He might all of a sudden be taking Steph Curry like threes, better shooting threes running off the screens and just shooting threes. He could get better at a multitude of things. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't impact his most valuable player standing. It might evaluate how we look at him as a player. His team is just too good. And most, I take the word literally, most valuable player. You could be the best player on the very best team, but that doesn't necessarily make you more valuable, in my opinion, to others. And I think he's going to run into the same issue again. And he still might be All-NBA first team.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean you're MVP. It's a wild circumstance.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Shea.
Go ahead. Yeah, and I'll switch over to we'll switch over to Rookie of the Year in the moment. But I will say this: the one thing that does catch me off guard, and for the bettors out there, I would advise against it. Joel Embiid received 5% of the vote. Joel Embiid might very well be the best player in the NBA. However, in no way and circumstance, if I am the front office or Nick Nurse, am I forcing Joel Embiid to hit that 65-game mark? As a matter of fact, I might go into the season telling Joel, you're not getting to 65 games. And obviously now in this new NBA, if you're not hitting 65 games, then you're not going to qualify for the playoffs. There is absolutely no reason for him to be chasing any type of award other than Finals MVP. And because of his history of playoff injuries, I'm not. Yeah,
they might change that to 62 games. 62 because 82, they've missed 20 games. They might change it to 62. But yeah, he's too important for playoffs, and I think it'll be an adjustment for him having PG, having Tyrese, and other pieces around there. So it'll be interesting to see, instead of staying healthy. But yeah, Giannis and Joel could both be guys that are in that running for MVP. I think the hardest thing to predict is Rookie of the Year.
That's where we'll go now. I thought some of the names for you because it's been a nondescript NBA draft. So I'll at least throw out the names that came in the top 10. You could decide who they predicted. Zachary Richardson, the number 1 overall pick that went to Atlanta Hawks. Alex Sarr, the number 2 overall pick that went to the Washington Wizards. Rob Dillingham with the Timberwolves. Stephon Castle, who's with the Spurs now. Donovan Clingan, who at this point, Danny, it's kind of wild, but he could be the third big man in Portland because DeAndre Ayton is still there. And let's not forget the Time Lord, Robert Williams, is still in Portland.
Yeah, they're trying to trade DeAndre, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. And then Zach Edey and Reed Shepherd. Those are your candidates. Who do you think the experts picked?
I'm going with Zach Edey, and that's my pick as well. But I'm going to go with Zach Edey because I think he just falls into the right situation, the perfect situation. And that is also my team turnaround with Memphis. And then Ja could be a guy that could be sneaking into MVP conversation because I think see them being as a top 3, top 4 team this year. If they stay healthy, they have their big 3 back with him playing the Steven Adams role. They're a winning team in the West, and he's a starting center with Jaren Jackson at the 4. I know they talk about Santi Aldama playing the 4 and Jaren Jackson the 5, but they're going to need rebounding. And those guys playing on the perimeter the way they do, you can't have them both in the game at the same time starting the game. And you need some scoring off the bench. So I think Santi is going to be the guy scoring off the bench for them. Zach Edey would be a starter with Tripp at the 4, Des, Ja, and then obviously either Luke Kennard or Marcus Smart at the 3, depending on health-wise. But I see him, and I see them being a top 4 team in the West this year because they were really good previous years before injury. And I see him being playing a good amount of minutes. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, too. I would pick Zach Edey. I think he's an obvious starter. A lot of these guys, this is the crazy thing to me, Danny. If you look at this list right here, a lot of these players are not even obvious starters. Rob Dillingham is not going to start. Stephon Castle, I don't think he's going to start because you got Chris Paul. You have Devin Vassell. You have Keldon Johnson. So he's not starting. Donovan Clingan, not starting with DeAndre Ayton there. Alex Sarr, I guess Alex Sarr will start in Washington, but obviously, he had a very disappointing summer league from a field goal percentage standpoint.
And the Washington win shares are going to be really bad. It's going to be tough. You're not changing much of the dynamic there. It's one person. So. Yeah,
and then you also have Zachary Richardson, who might not start in Atlanta because they have Jalen Johnson and a bunch of other wings there in Atlanta. So for me, and so the experts picked Reed Shepherd, and I think that's based off how well he performed in summer.
He played really well, but Houston just won't. I don't think they're going to do it this year.
There's too many bodies.
Another year or two. Yeah, Senguini's come back up in Sengun and Channing Frye.
Jalen Green.
Senguini, Jalen Green. You got Fred, but yeah, Sengun's back. Jalen Green is there, and you got obviously Fred and Dylan Brooks, but Cam. Whitmore.
Cam Whitmore is over there.
Yeah, balling. He's been hooping. I think
Jabari Smith Jr. is over there.
Smith. He's not going to get a lot of opportunity unless there's some injuries. And even then, I don't know how much their win shares will be with him added. But they're going to be a good team. They're going to come back. I think they're going to be in a play-in as again this year, but they'll be better than last year if they stay healthy. So yeah, it'll be tough for him, but he is good. He's a good player.
Yeah, it's kind of, now I'm thinking about it, Danny, is if I actually pull up the 2024 NBA draft, I'm right with you with Zach Edey. If we pull up the NBA, if you pull up the draft, how many of these dudes are actually starting, which is kind of symbolic.
Or how many are actually playing a lot? Who's going to play a lot?
Or how
it might be 5% of them that's going to be playing a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Risha Shea probably not. He might start, but it's not guaranteed. Alex Sarr probably will start, but Reed Shepherd's not going to start. Stephon Castle's not going to start. Ron Holland II for Detroit probably not going to start. I'm going to butcher this guy's name for the Charlotte Hornets. Tinjan Saloon, he's not starting. Donovan Klingen's not starting. Rob Dillingham is not starting. Jazz are probably not going to start Cody Williams. Buzelis might start for the Bulls, but I've already gone through the top 11, 12 picks, and we only identified 2 starters. So it's going to be slim pickings for this draft class. And honestly, I think you almost have to pick Zach. If you're in the betting market, I think you almost have to pick Zach Edey because he's the only one who I think would start. Now, yes, he would still have competition from Brandon Clark, but I think Clark probably slots in a lot better as the backup 4, backup 5, can go both ways. Meanwhile, Edey is a solid 5. There is no other position for him out there on the court. So Edey is my pick. Edey's your pick. Edey makes a lot of sense to both of us. All right, let's go to Defensive Player of the Year, and I think this one's pretty easy.
Very easy. It's probably the easiest one. Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama.
Yes.
Easy pick.
I don't even think we need to discuss it anymore. The guy's too dynamic on all, obviously on the defensive side.
Could have won it last year, this past year. He's just young, but he's going to be that guy. If he keeps up, instead of Pop's coaching the way we know, he keeps up that end of that passion or that focus and not just worry about offense, he's going to just change the game a lot. And obviously he'll do both ends of the floor because he's young. But the way he guarded the rim, protect the rim this year, if he does it again next year, I think it's a lock. So he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year in my book.
I think you could make two arguments for 2 other players. And it's really, and obviously Wembanyama should be the obvious pick. However, the San Antonio Spurs, from a defensive rating last year, were one of the worst, they're a bottom 10 team in defensive rating.
That's the tough part. Yeah,
he's good. Overall, he could be a great defender as an individual, but I think if the team is not a top 15 rated defense, they're going to hear some valid arguments for, one, Bam Adebayo, because the Miami Heat, if they're going to do one thing, they're going to play defense, and he's going to be a key cog in that, switching, protecting the rim, rebounding the ball, all those things. And then I think there's going to be a very good argument, too, for Mikal Bridges, because the New York Knicks were a top 5 team in defensive rating last year, and the one thing about Mikal Bridges, his counting stats are going to be very hard to argue against, because even to this moment, knock on wood, as a Knicks fan, Mikal Bridges hasn't missed an NBA game. So his total accumulation of steals, like in all of the things that deflections and all those kind of real things we can get into the analytics, I think we'll give him an argument. I don't think he's going to win it, but with the way that Knicks play defense, and I think he'll be their primary defender that you count on from game to game, because again, he's always playing. I think he'll have a decent argument at the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough for Wembanyama because the Spurs said defensively they're gonna be bottom half of the league with win shares, and their defensive rating is not gonna be high. So there are other teams that are winning that may have players like Bam, like Mikal Bridges, and if the Lakers are better this year, Anthony Davis could be. Yep. So we will see how that goes, man.
Yeah, the other names that were on that list: Jrue Holiday, 5% of the vote; Joel Embiid, 5% of the vote; Draymond Green. Giannis and Alex Caruso also on that list, as well as others who received votes. All right, real quick. 6th man of the year. Who do you think the experts picked?
Oh, 6th man of the year. Malik Monk, probably again.
Nas Reed won it. Nas Reed won it last year.
Yeah. Malik got snubbed. So Malik never got it then.
Yeah, Malik didn't get it. Nas Reed got it last year.
I think Malik stays healthy this year. If it's not Malik, I'm going to have to go over to maybe Indiana and search for somebody. like a Ben. No, he'll be most improved, like a Ben Mathurin. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Malik Monk. I think that's a solid pick for me. I can't think of anybody else that, unless you go to OKC, somebody on the bench OKC. You got guys like Isaiah Joe. I'm trying to think who's gonna be winning.
Well, that's the experts picked Malik Monk as well. I think it's interesting. Alex Caruso was actually second in the voting with 19%.
OKC was another guy.
Nas Reed had 19% of the vote. Yeah, but for me, I find it interesting. If I'm OKC, I'm starting Alex Caruso. He's not coming off the bench.
I thought so. Yeah, with Giddey, what's his name? Alex is your starting point guard, right? Shea 2, him 1-2. They both defensive guys. You got Lou Dort, Chet, and Big Dog. Yeah. No, you got. I'm forgetting Wiggins.
Could you imagine?
I'm forgetting.
Well, I'll bring Wiggins off the bench. I got Alex Caruso and Lou Dort in my start. Alex Caruso shot 40% from 3 last year.
Jalen. You can bring Jalen off the bench.
Jalen's at the 4. That's what he played last year.
Okay.
Oh, but there's Isaiah Hartenstein. Ooh, what does OKC do? Yeah. Do you start Hartenstein, Danny? I guess you got to start Hartenstein, right?
And then you start Hartenstein, Chet at the 4, Jalen at the 3, and then you got your 1 and 2 with Shea, and then
Shea and
Caruso.
Nah, you gotta start Lou, dog.
Nah, going with. I don't even bring Lou off the bench.
You don't think that's gonna mess? Like, obviously, it seems like everything is fine over there. I don't.
You can mix and match it. You can mix and match it, but I think Alex gives you another high. Like, it can bring Shea off the ball more because he can bring the point guard. He can bring up the ball. It takes the ball out of Shea's hands, but you don't have to do much energy. Defensively, he can still guard, and he could probably shoot a little bit better than Lou. So, like, he has high IQ. He's not going to take bad shots. He's going to take some pressure off Shea bringing the ball up, which gives you – and Lou can still – you're like, Lou can still come in off the bench. So
boy.
Makes you deeper.
Hey, man.
They might not start it that way because they'll start Lou at the first because that's the original team they have. They're going to keep those guys together. With Isaiah is going to be the new starter. But I wouldn't – said if it was me, I'm – taking some energy out of Shea's hand. Like, he don't have to, like, he can score more efficiently without having to bring the ball up. Energy, saving for defense, and you still get defense with Alex Caruso and a better shooter, floor space. Now, Josh Giddey, they played in the paint. You can't do that with Alex Caruso. Lou Dort, you had to shift. You can still shift. You can shift off Alex, but not as much as you do Lou Dort and Giddey. So, like, Alex, I think is more of a threat to me in my eyes from 3-point land than those two guys were.
Yeah. Well, I also we can't forget too, Isaiah Hartenstein is going to add another level to that offense too. Mm-hmm. So Shea might have to bring up the ball, but Hartenstein with his ability to pass the ball from the top of the key is also going to bring a new element to that offense. OKC is going to be a problem. OKC is going to be a big problem for sure. I will say, I think Malik Monk is going to win just because he's going to score the most points. But I will say this, and I want to talk about this just for a moment. I don't like how Sixth Man of the Year is handed out. I don't like the criteria for Sixth Man of the Year that has been followed years upon years upon years upon years in the National Basketball Association among the voters. The Sixth Man of the Year doesn't just mean the guy who comes off the bench and get buckets. How about giving the Sixth Man of the Year to the guy who comes off the bench and contributes to the game on all assets?
Impacts
like Andre Iguodala is like, Andre Iguodala when he's with the Warriors was probably the Sixth Man of the Year a lot of the times, but they were giving it to other guys who were getting buckets like Lou Williams or Jamal Crawford. And no shade to those guys. Those guys are absolute bucket getters. But I think it's a shame that we limit Sixth Man of the Year to the guy who gets buckets. Like, for example, I'm looking at this list among the voters. I'm going to give you the names: Malik Monk, Alex Caruso, Nas Reed, Jaime Jaquez Jr., TJ McConnell, Bobby Portis, Russell Westbrook, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jose Alvarado, Norman Powell. And Josh Hart is tied for ninth among these people. Josh Hart
is definitely good.
Come on now.
Bogdan Bogdanovic. There's a lot of guys that impact. There's guys, like I said, when you talk about the impact, you can look at like an Andre Drummond when he comes off the bench for Philadelphia, behind Joel Embiid. I'm not saying that he will be, but like impact that he'll have for that second group that they haven't had in some time for them. Somebody in Orlando that come off the bench and give you something that can impact. Deuce McBride in New York. New York has they're heavy front lines. They're very good. They're top heavy. So their starting lineup is very good, but off the bench, they don't have much. So if you have one guy that can come in off the bench and give you a lot of impact and keep your, especially when you have unhealthy pieces or you have some injuries somebody that can step up and give you something like that. So Yeah, man, it's interesting. I'm wondering who else would be in those talks. Like, but I think winning teams and guys that impact the winning for your team, that could be like a Marcus Smart, even if he came off the bench for Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So like that type of guy who doesn't score a lot, but he's gonna defend. He's gonna orchestrate a team. Tyus Jones.
Exactly. He probably gonna start in Phoenix. Unless they
I'm saying when he was in Memphis, though, how his impact in Memphis when he was a 6-man, he could have been 6-man a year. Assist to turnover ratio last 4 or 5 years he's led the league in, and his impact of leading them when Ja was out or hurt, like he could be definitely a 6-man of the year candidate when he was there. But he's not gonna not be 6-man this year. But that type of player, I understand what you're saying.
That's I'm going to do a lot of referring to the bettors out there. That's a market I would stay away from because I feel like that award is so contingent upon an injury that might take place, and all of a sudden somebody gets thrust into a role and gets 20 starts out of nowhere. That obviously has an impact. All right, the next one, most improved. I'll give you you want me to give you the candidates, or you just want to name it?
Most improved player?
Yep.
Yeah, give me the candidates. Because
all right, RJ Barrett, Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Kuminga, Tyrese Halliburton, Alperen Şengün, Devin Vassell, Cam Thomas, Cade Cunningham, Kobe White, Jalen Williams, Victor Wembanyama.
Kobe White got snubbed this year, so he may not get it because he already shown what he can do this past year.
Yeah, I don't know how many more levels I don't know how many more levels he can go up.
Yeah, Jalen Suggs is a good one. Who else is on that list?
I go Wemby, Jalen Williams, Cade Cunningham, Cam Thomas, Devin Vassell, Şengün, Halliburton, Kuminga, Suggs, Barrett.
Probably Şengün, man. Şengün or Halliburton. They always give it to the most improved player now has been these superstar guys that have just taken it up a notch the next year. Or they've been showing that they're an actual superstar. You know what I'm saying? Like Tyrese Maxey got it, right? He was already very good, but he's just showing that he's a superstar now instead of actually the guy that was not good and actually got better at his role. So I could see it being those bigger name guys now. Ja Morant got it before Tyrese, and then it was Tyrese. So those type of players like.
But if it goes by that measure, you're counting Ja Morant, then the logical person to pick would then be Victor Wembanyama. That's who the experts picked.
Yeah, but I have to go with somebody in a more winning space. Yeah, make a leap.
Does most improved player does winning actually matter for the most improved player?
No, but I just don't know if his numbers are going to be that much bigger, and is he going to be an all-star? Is he going to be all-star? I can see those other guys being all-star. Like I can see Tyrese Halliburton being starting all-star.
Danny, you don't think Victor Wembanyama is going to be an all-star
this year over what? Starting all-star or regular all-star? He's a big, right? So with Jokic, AD, who else is in the West with the bigs?
I mean, you think he's going to have – I mean, will he even have better stats than Anthony Davis? I mean, last year he was 21 points, 21 points, 10.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 46% from the field. It's not out the realm of possibility, Dan. 21.4. It's not out the realm of possibility. He goes to 25 and 12. And again, 4 assists, and 4 and 3.5 blocks. That's a certified lock it in all-star. I don't care what the record is.
Even if they're losing?
Bro, it doesn't. Bro, 25-12 with 3 blocks and 4 assists. That's an all-star. I don't care if they.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it on winning teams.
I don't care if they go winless.
I've seen guys on winning teams get snubbed with good numbers. So it's not impossible. Like
he's too much. He's too much of the.
Trae Young, James, they motherfucker averaged 25 and 11. You know what I'm saying? Like what are we talking? They were winning teams.
But did they have the? But Wemby's also going to have the defensive stats as well.
For sure, bro. But they're losing it. You could still not make it. Like, bro. And I'm trying to think of how many bigs are there. Like, there's not a lot of bigs, but there's bigs.
How many
teams that are going to be over him?
It's just front court. I think it's just front court, back court. So like, if you just name 6,
it's positionless.
I think it's positionless. So if you just name 6 guys in the front court that will get it in over there, and remember, some of it in the beginning, it's a mixture of fan voting. It's a mixture of fan voting, media, and coaches. And then
I'm going Kuminga, man. Kuminga most improved. That's what I'm going with. Kuminga.
Okay.
That's. Go ahead. What did they vote? They voted Victor Wembanyama. Of course, they voted Victor Wembanyama.
They voted Victor. They voted Victor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't knock it. I understand. I do think this though. Cam Thomas. Well, I guess he's the number one option in Brooklyn. So like, Cam Thomas might average like 23 points a game this year. Like for those who play fantasy basketball.
Yeah,
he's gonna. There's nothing going on in Brooklyn right now, so you might as well like. He's gonna make a good argument for most improved, dog. He's gonna. You know what? Mm-hmm. He could be this year's Kobe White.
I think winning does matter, though. I think winning does matter.
Yeah,
I think winning matters
for sure.
So Wembanyama and Cam Thomas said, "I'm going with the teams that actually guys that have some type of winning. You know, some guys that are in the playoffs or something like that. You know, you can't be at the bottom half or the bottom half of the league and be, or the bottom fourth of the league, bottom third of the league and be in that space of any type of award. That's tough to be anyway.
I think there's the glasses are a little bit rosier in how they view Victor Wembanyama. So I think he'll get a pass, but you know, we'll see how all plays out.
Oh, he'll definitely get a pass. He'll definitely get a pass.
Yeah, he'll definitely get a pass. Last award here. Who do you think the experts predicted to be coach of the year?
Ooh. Probably back-to-back OKC. Or maybe Minnesota.
When's the last? I don't
Minnesota.
Think that's a good. See, NBA coaches of the year history.
Minnesota, OKC.
I don't think there's ever. You think there's ever been a back-to-back coach of the year? I don't think there's that's probably never happened.
I'm gonna go either Rick Carlisle or Orlando. Right, I'm going Orlando. I think I'm going Indiana, Orlando. Mosley.
I'm looking at it. Then I'm looking at it now. I don't think in the history of the NBA there has never been a back-to-back coach of the year winner. Now, yes, there's been guys who've won it multiple times, but nobody has won the award in back-to-back. I don't think it'll ever happen either. It's too much of a. It's just not. Yeah. I mean, to win it one year, it's almost like winning most. Mm-hmm. It's almost like winning most improved player back-to-back seasons.
Back-to-back,
it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
not going to happen. So who do you think? Who do you think does it? Or who do you think they picked? Who do you think they picked? And then who's your pick?
I think they picked somebody. I think they picked. No, that's a good question, man. I don't know. Either I'm gonna say somebody in the West, right? Because there ain't nobody in the East that I would think they would pick. Yeah, maybe they might pick. Because they didn't give what's the name this year? Boston, Joe Mazzulla. I'm thinking they'll pick Joe Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla earned 19% of the vote, and also earning 19% of the vote. Oh wow! It's actually my bad. It's
three-way tie.
It's the share. Okay, so here's how it goes. Joe Mazzulla got 19% of the vote. Mark Dagnall from OKC got 19% of the vote, but the overall vote getter, who also got 19% of the shares, 19% of the first place vote. That's how I meant to say. Joe Mazzulla, Mark Dagnall both got 19% of the first of Coach of the Year vote. So did Tom Thibodeau. However, Tom Tibbs got more of the overall vote, so they predicted Coach Tibbs to win Coach of the Year. And I think personally, Danny, I think it makes a world of sense. And I've said it before in this pod, and I'll say it again. Nobody is going to play harder than the New York Knicks this upcoming season. Not just because of their head coach, but now because of their persknow. They are deep.
Orlando Magic.
Last year they were
Orlando Magic.
Last year they were number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. I know I'm a big Knicks fan, and I know I'm biased. I don't think the Knicks are the best team in the Eastern Conference, but I will place a bet that they will have the best record in the Eastern Conference because there will be no slip up from game to game with Tibbs, with Mikal Bridges, a guy who doesn't miss games, with a guy like Julius Randle, with Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. Like, these are guys who are going to play hard every single game, and they're just going to – yes, will they lose games? For sure, but nobody's going to play harder on a night-to-night basis. Number 1 overall seed in the East, and then an improved Eastern Conference, I think that's going to win you Coach of the Year. So I think that makes a world of sense.
Yeah, I don't think they get number 1 overall seed, but I like your take, but I think Orlando is going to be a sleeper. I like Jamal Mosley. They could do some stuff to surprise people in the East. He could possibly get it. Rick Carlisle, Indiana, those 2 teams are East sleepers, where if they do well and they get in the top 3, And you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it works out with health.
You think it's on the table for the Magic to be a top 3 seed?
Yeah, you know how Knicks get hurt. You know how Philly gets hurt. Milwaukee gets hurt. Why couldn't they? They were top 5, 6 seed this past year, and they added KCP and some other pieces. Yeah, they added some pieces, and they're only getting better. Jonathan Isaac's back in another year of health. Like, they're going to be good, man. But ultimately, my turnaround team could possibly have the coach of the year team too. Taylor Jenkins could be coach of the year if we haven't turned this team around, and having Memphis being the top 2 or 3 seed in the West, it could be him.
Yeah, Taylor Jenkins was on the list. Nick Nurse is on the list. Greg Popovich is on the list. Jamal Mosley from Orlando Magic is on the list. Ime Udoka is also on the list. And obviously Eric Spoelstra almost every year has to be considered for coach of the year. I think the Kenny Atkinson one is going to be interesting. He has the chore of trying to see if he could match Mobley and Allen and Mitchell and Garland. We'll see how it turns out. But I think that team, Danny, if he can figure it out, they have the potential to be the number 1 overall seed, but he has to figure it out. I don't know if he can. We'll see how it pans out. You said the team turnaround that you picked was the Memphis Grizzlies. That is who the media picked as well. There's no doubt in my mind, if they're healthy, they're going to be a top 6 team at the very least. Way too talented. Josh should be on a revenge tour. He should see the ascension of a guy like Ant. He should see the crowning of a guy like Victor Wembanyama, the attention that Luka has been getting. He should be like, yo, I can't let my spot up, on top of the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. got better from last year in terms of his ability to score as an isolation player. Desmond Bane got better last year in terms of being a distributor. Now those are secondary things that they have to do, not primary things that they have to do. I think they're going to be a very, very good team as long as Edey stays healthy, because I do worry about their interior rebounding, not defense. They're rebounding. I think Edey can help them out because Jaren Jackson Jr. has proved not to be a great rebounder. All right, 2 more things before we get out of here. Team turmoil. I think we could all predict who they thought was going to be the team under the most turmoil. That would be.
I hate to say it, but I thought it would be. And this might be off the wall. I'm saying the Clippers.
Interesting. Well, they predicted the Lakers. I think there's no. I think the Lakers are number 1 because
I think it's between the two. Yeah, but obviously they didn't make any moves, and they can get frustration. But the team is really good. If they stay healthy, they can keep those pieces around. I think it's between both the LA teams. But the only reason why I picked the Clippers over the Lakers is because they have some disgruntled employees over there that are trying to get out of there. We know that PJ Tucker's been trying to get moved since last trade deadline. I don't know if Bones is happy being there. They also picked up some guys that are given second chances to. And I think these are guys that are hell of players. But if you see one thing happen, another thing happens with each one of these guys, the fans, the coaches are going to be all on them. They're giving guys, Kai Jones, who's very athletic, a second chance. Kevin Porter Jr., another chance. Like, these are second chance you in the Clippers situation. But you see some things happening off the court, or these disgruntled employees coming in, no PG there anymore, and you traded away so much for him and didn't keep him. That could be one of the teams that is looked at, to be in turmoil.
You throw it. Obviously, we wish him full health, but then if you throw in a Kawhi Leonard injury, year,
oh man, and it's just James. It's just James out there, and you said, man,
going into a new arena too. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, for sure, 100%. All right, last one here. First time All-Star. Well, 2 more. Player to make their first time All-Star. Give you the candidates, Danny. The list is pretty impressive, actually.
Victor Wembanyama.
Victor Wembanyama. Chet Holmgren. Jamal Murray. Cade Cunningham. Alperen Şengün. Like, those are some of the more notable names that are on the list. Jaime Jaquez got votes. I don't understand how in the world Buddy Hield got votes, but Buddy Hield got a vote. Evan Mobley got a vote. Mikal Bridges got a vote, which I guess I can see, but I don't know if he's going to have all-star-ish type of numbers. That might just be one of those. I feel like if he gets in, it'll be like a team award. Like
the best player on the best team. Yeah, it's the best team. Yeah, best player on the best team.
Best team in the East. We got to send 3 or something like that.
Send 2. I think it's him and Jalen. You send 2. It's him and Jalen.
What about Julius? You don't think Julius? What about Julius Randle?
No. That All-Star year is over. I mean, he's going to be a good piece, but he's not going to be the All. Mikal Bridges took that spot at that point.
Wait. Hold on. You don't think Julius Randle's still the number 2 option on the Knicks?
No. Would you make him number 2 option?
Yes. From a scoring standpoint, Mikal Bridges doesn't need the ball to score. Julius Randle is still going to be.
That's why he's going to.
Julius Randle and Randle has proven over the past year with the Knicks when he was on the court that he's also a facilitator as well. He was averaging 5 assists a game.
That's my point. So they know Julius ain't passing, so the way they're gonna guard Julius.
I'm saying Julius was a passer. Julius was a passer.
Yeah, he can. He's gonna pass a lot more. He's gonna pass a lot more because he has more people around him. They're gonna force him to pass the ball. Ultimately, open the floor defensively. Mikal's gonna be a better defensive guy, and he's gonna get more open looks. He's gonna score more efficiently. He's gonna be your efficient all Iron Man player. It's going to be him and Jalen. Julius may have some injuries here and there, and he's not going to be as efficient as.
He's not going to get as many. He's not going to get. We know he's not going to get as many shot attempts, but he's still. Man. Him and Jalen are still the primary initiators of the offense.
He's a volume guy. He's not gonna get as many attempts. He's a volume guy. He's not gonna get as many attempts as he normally does with the group that you guys have. When a new OG with Mikal being there, DiVincenzo, all the people, Deuce McBride, the pieces y'all picked up, he's going to get less attempts, which ultimately affects his all-star numbers, his all-star look. And if he doesn't get attempts, he doesn't get the scoring, he's not getting an all-star. Mikal Bridges would be going in over him.
Agreed to disagree. Actually, we got to pause here for one moment. My headphones need to charge for like 2 minutes. Finish up with player 3, 2, 1. All right, let's wrap this one up here. Me and Danny are going to agree to disagree on his thoughts about Julius Randle. We'll save my Nick thoughts for another episode. Real quick, Danny, who did the experts pick for the first star player, quote unquote, to request a trade?
Probably Kevin Durant.
That would be so. Could you imagine? After all that's the wild thing. He's earned so much. He's earned so much.
It's him or James Harden. Like those two guys are just, you know what I'm saying? Those are the guys that are in the talks of, usually the trade that they look at superstars that request trades. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I don't see them looking for trades. But just the public looks at those guys as the trade bait, or the guys that look for trades often. You know what I'm saying? So when they're not happy, when things don't go their way, they look at those guys as, we're trying to get out of here. We're jumping ship.
Yeah, so the GMs ended up picking Brandon Ingram to be the most likely to request a trade. Makes a lot of sense to me, considering the fact that there is a glut of talent there in New Orleans, and obviously Brandon Ingram has not gotten his contract extension yet. We'll see how it all plays out. It has been a fun one here on Inside the Green Room. Until next time, my friends. Until then, tell what to do.
Read, rate, subscribe, review. Peace.